was creation. I'm from outer space.
I just think you get to design your entire experience here.
Your mind is so powerful. Your mind controls everything.
What's good with it? Welcome to Worldwide Witted. I gathered and compiled some videos that should challenge your perception. Let's get into it. Hope you enjoy.
You'll see that every single video leads to the, it don't give matter how crazy it is. It's going to lead to the next.
Okay.
If you are not mentally stable, don't watch this video. Nothing is real. All right. So if you're not in good space mentally, this is going to be a lot for you. Everything is vibrating atoms. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. Matter cannot be created or destroyed. It's just recycled. You are recycled matter and energy.
Candy?
You already know if I'm going to take it?
Wouldn't be much of an oracle if I didn't.
But if you already know, how can I make a choice?
Because you didn't come here to make the choice. You've already made it. You're here to try to understand why.
And all the wars that y'all see humans and where they get these weapons from, it's extraterrestrials and human beings at war. If y'all see it said, I made a post about the UFOs intercepting missiles and all that. Is extraterrestrials involved in this fight over the earth with us? The fight is over the entire earth. And the fight is over humanity, the hearts and minds and soul of the humans, which side they're going to be on and who they going to pick.
Hard on these type of videos.
Right.
The thing is this, right? Well, I've seen creators do conspiracy videos and they do them every day and they get really into them. And all of them information and not even be verified and not being checked and not being a critical thinker and start shooting out videos. I don't want to be part of the problem. I want to be helping people understand. I don't feel like I have all the answers, but I feel like I have the discernment enough to be able to know what is the answer at the time, because the answers are, subject to change.
And you are part of an infinite intelligence called the universal consciousness. You are God experiencing life through this physical form. Okay? So you are the programmer of your reality. This is all AI. Like, who's to say we're not in a Neuro 3, whatever it's called? This is all a simulation.
So what you're looking at here is a computer simulation of absolutely nothing. This is empty space. Literally empty space with nothing in it. This is the simplest thing you could possibly imagine in the universe. And you can see it's an interesting place to be, empty space. It's not dull and boring. What you're looking at here is that even when the particles are taken out, the field still exists. The field is there, but what's more, the field is governed by the rules of quantum mechanics. And there's a principle in quantum mechanics, which is called the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, which says you're not allowed to sit still. And the field has to obey this. So even when there's nothing else there, the field is constantly bubbling and fluctuating in what's, quite honestly, a very complicated way. These are things that we call quantum vacuum fluctuations. But this is what nothingness looks like.
This is the visualization of the present moment. Look at this. Really like the past, present, and future. And so that blue dot is your present moment. So within that present moment, when you use your voice, you're actually triggering your vagus nerve, which operates your involuntary movements, like your heartbeat, your digestive system, anything that you like cognitively don't think about throughout the day. But when you do acknowledge it, it's actually, again, like a great practice. That's why like meditation and everything really helps you engage and create within the causal plane of all of existence. So you are a God, and God is not insecure about that.
Less means be less you. Appreciate is appreciate. Awake means awake, which is an event where the family gather together before a funeral. Mourning is an expression of sorrow for someone's death. Job is Hebrew for prosecution. You are taught to specifically say the vowels in this order, where the last three words say I-O-U, because they are programming you to remain a slave. Every word you say is shaping your mind, and your mind is a mirror of your external world. This is why abracadabra means I create when I speak. The words I am can be used to direct vibrational frequencies into your morphogenetic field and have the ability to change your genes. When you use the word the, you're referring to God to bring it into existence, because the comes from theo, which is Greek for God. The weekend is when you're weakened, from the weekdays, when you're in a daze, when you are
by the secret spells of the English language. Well, let me share with you what I call our premier life of the week. So I do what I call a translation of the English language, and I spell that Trance with the idea that words cast spells. So when you translate that life sentence, you remember that awake is a funeral party for the dead. Mourning is the state you're in when you attend a wake. And you would have to be in a weak daze to earn the living, since urns are for the ashes of the dead. We call our jobs undertakings. Job itself is a Hebrew word for persecuted. And what we get at the end of this perverse bargain with life is the weak end of the deal, as we become progressively weakened ourselves. And so our most prevalent greeting to each other is hello, the reverse of which is oh hell.
You can see that beliefs about aging are all in our mind. Science explains that we have a brand new body in a very short time. Aging is limited thinking, so release those thoughts from your consciousness and know that your body is only months old, no matter how many birthdays you have chalked up in your mind. For your next birthday, do yourself a favor and celebrate it as your first birthday. Don't cover your cake with 60 candles unless you want to summon aging to you. Unfortunately, Western society has become fixated on age, and in reality there is no such thing.
You had how many birthdays?
Me? What do you think?
Well, I know that you had one birthday.
Yeah.
You were born
Yeah.
on a certain day.
Absolutely.
You had no more birthdays after that. So I don't celebrate birthdays, so that stops me from counting days, which stops me from counting time, which allows me to still look the same as I did 10 years ago, just like that.
You're on this time limit thing that doesn't make sense.
The unknown,
You're just constantly stressing.
The unknown is half of life. You know?
Yeah.
And that's something that we gotta embrace. The more that we embrace the unknown, the more that we download answers. You know, because we're not trying to pinpoint answers based upon something that we've already learned, or something that's somebody else's perception, or something we've digested or learned from somewhere else. We're like, if we embrace the unknown, we get our own understandings, our critical thinking.
Exactly.
You know?
And they don't teach critical thinking.
No, they don't. They
It
don't.
wasn't
We
trying to in the
regurgitate
first
shit.
place. The fact that you had to be taught, like had to have another, like a whole other period for it, and that was like elective. Like you had, you know, that's if you want to.
If you look younger than your age, this is what it means. Fam, it's not about your skin, it's about your spirit. Psychology says people who appear younger often carry something deeper. A resilience of heart and a lightness of being that time can't touch. You've been through storms, but you didn't let them make you bitter. You cried in silence, but you still found reasons to smile. And that quiet strength chosen ones radiates. Because looking younger isn't about avoiding years. It's about how you live them. So you chose peace over drama, growth over grudges, healing over harm. And the body reflects the soul it carries. Studies in psychology link youthful appearances to lower stress levels, emotional intelligence, and a deep ability to let go of what no longer serves. How you love, how you forgive, how you start over. More story, fam, if people tell you you don't look your age, don't just say thank you. Know that what they really seeing is the light you kept alive.
The common signs of a spiritual awakening.
Thinking that you are going absolutely crazy because you're starting to disconnect from reality. You're starting to question religion, politics, beginning to experience more synchronicity. Something that you feel is a coincidence, but really it's not. It's really the universe trying to communicate with you and get you to wake up.
And you're seeing synchronicities. Does that mean that you're on the right path?
Your vibration is rising and expanding. So you're in a frequency that you can perceive more of that direct communication, or like these patterns that the universe is trying to place on your path. Recognize patterns and signs. One of the ways that people like to do that is through angel numbers. And what's really cool about that is the more you acknowledge those types of signs and synchronicities, like 1111, or I was thinking about this song and then it came on the radio. Every time you acknowledge it, you will actually reprogram yourself to know that you are in communication with spirit. And then because you believe it, you start shifting into different timelines where that communication is more obvious to you. So you won't be blocking it out.
You are part of the army of light, fighting on the side of good, quote unquote, righteousness, because you picked your side. Within the cosmos, within Earth, within this war, human beings are a part of that war. We will become casualties of that war. But which side are you dying on? The light or the dark side of which kingdom and of the war? Humanity, no matter if you want to or not, you're a part of the war. Somebody gonna ask me, so if America send you over here, they draft you, you fighting for them? If you was born with some Crips and you like, yeah, I'm going down the street, I don't want to be Crip. The Blood's gonna see you as Crip. You inherit wars. As humans, and whatever nation we in, we inherit certain wars, and this is one of them. So everybody like, I ain't going, it don't matter if you want to or not. Gonna have to. You feel me? But yeah, the earth is war within the firmaments. The war is not in the heavens, it's now, it's here. And we getting closer to that war. It's stargates on a system that's and within the firmament that's closed, above the firmament that's closed. Nobody can get in or out. This is why they doing underground tunnels, because the war is now. It's taking place now. The war was over the planet. Nobody can leave. Nobody can exit, and they're going down on the planet. And all the wars that y'all see humans and where they get these weapons from, it's extraterrestrials and human beings at war, nigga.
Nipsey is he's a South Central legend.
I'm a urban legend. South Central in a certain section.
We just found out that he was a descendant of Ali Selassie.
I was telling my friend, I said he looks like him.
He's a first descendant of him.
Well, he looks like those guys,
Eritrean. He is Eritrean.
Yeah,
that's what his nationality is.
Tell us about him.
Ethiopian. That's Solomon's bloodline.
Oh wow.
King Solomon.
The king of all kings.
Wow.
The Triple Crown. Walk with lions. Yeah, believe that. Gave Queen Elizabeth a lion. Sent her one back in the days. The only one with the Triple Crown. Ali Selassie. Jah Rastafari.
Everything that you see walk on this fucking planet Earth is in the DNA. It's God. And we manifest these things to happen. Nothing can happen without us. Y'all keep being tricked for what? Don't keep playing with me. That we came from kings and queens. Because they let you know that you came from a king and you came from a queen. You're going to destroy them. So they tell you was a slave. So they can use that as a tool and also a slave and master you. And use your ability when you hear work like slavery and here in America.
I'm not trying to freak you out, okay? If you are not mentally stable, don't watch this video. But with the whole Google VEO3, it goes to show that we are binary code, and that's a fact. DNA is created through binary code, and this is a simulation. And it is. And that's a whole nother conversation. You are your own programmer, okay? We live in a holographic universe that is created through binary code. Everything is an illusion of matter. Everything is matter being vibrated at a particular frequency that gives it the illusion of matter.
And I was like, what should I try to remote view to see if this actually works? And later that day, my wife and I are supposed to go visit a colleague of mine that I've never been to their house. I'm going to see if I can remote view what it looks like on the inside of the door. And so I was just laying there and emptying my mind, and then focusing on seeing what's inside the door. And all of a sudden I could see this door with windows, and I could see the wall and the little runner on the bottom. I could see the color of the wall and the little runner. And then I saw an eye, a single eye, just looking at me, and I got scared, and then I like covered it in ink and a cloudy ink, and then I left that place. And I told my wife about it, and I said, I'd be very curious to see if it really is that way when we get there. And so I described the color of the paint and the runner and how the door looked with the shape of the glass and all that stuff in the wood. And we got there, and it looked like that. And I was like, what the heck? This actually works. And that eye that was looking at me, I felt like was my colleague or something.
In a sense, we're less private because our thoughts and intentions can affect other people. Their thoughts and intentions can affect us. The magnetic field of a magnet is in the magnet and extends beyond it. The gravitational field of the Earth is in the Earth and extends far beyond it. The field of a mobile phone, a handy, is in the phone and extends beyond it. And I think the fields of our minds are inside our brains and inside our bodies and extend beyond them. If our thoughts are simply private things inside our heads, it doesn't much matter what you think, it only matters what you say or what you do. But if your thoughts and attitudes and intentions and hopes and fears and loves and hates can have influences beyond your brain, just by thinking about them or having those feelings, it means we're more responsible for what we think. It's not just what we say and do, but what we think that matters.
Move in slowly, move in slowly.
The artist could see.
Now go ahead and pull back.
Oh, of course. Smell my cat scratching.
That's it.
This little dog has a sizable radiant field, even when he sits quietly. Notice now, as he greets his master, the obvious love and affection between them increases the dynamic radiation from their bodies, even the dog's tail and the man's head. No wonder so many people have pets who give them pleasure and provide a vital field of energy to interact with.
You can read brain activity from outside your head with a new thing called magnetoencephalograph. Most people are familiar with electroencephalograph, put wires on your head and read your brain function.
Okay, yeah.
The new one, magnetoencephalograph, they put a probe out here. And they can read your brain function from outside. Well, it's a very important point. He says, well, if you're reading my brain function from outside, then what am I doing? I must be broadcasting my brain function. So all of us are like tuning forks. But if we're all out of tune, then there's a tendency for even a tuning fork that tries to stay in tune will be pushed out of tune by something we call entrainment. And the issue is, how can you survive in this world? And the answer is you must essentially detach yourself from this field around you, not be taken in by the stories, not buy into the fear, not to buy into the threats on our existence, to start to recognize, look, we are creating these lives. If you buy other people's creation, then you manifest what they're creating. If you want what you want, then you have to not get engaged. And the more conscious you become, the less you are affected by the outside fields. And so this rising consciousness that we're seeing is the evolution of humanity to rise above the noise of the background and recognize you're the creator. Well, I'm going to go in there and fight that system. And I go, you know, that's not really good either, because if you're fighting the system, then you're contributing energy, whether it's pro or con, to that system. The way to fight the system is not to be part of the system.
That's why I have this like Taylor, and it's like, watch, even halfway through this, it gets crazier because like I'm trying to prove something that often gets like shunned down, which you'll see right now. So right now I have the monk doing telekinesis right now to show that this is a real practice. This is called cheat. You know what I'm saying? This is not cheat. Sure. But then you have a lot of people on Instagram, on TikTok, trying to learn telekinesis, and they're doing little things. Some people say, oh, you're blowing it, or it's, you know, like there's magicians that do streaming and stuff like that. So, you know, and some of these are fake. You know, there's a lot of things like that. There's fake UFO footage. That doesn't mean there's not real UFO footage. You know what I'm saying? Like just because there's, you know, the absence of doesn't mean it doesn't exist. You know what I'm saying? Like,
gut. Once again, how powerful you are.
They're doing this every day. So I'm like watching these guys, and I'm like looking at the comments, and I'm like, so I understand. Some people are saying like they're using like the guy with the can. He's using his breath, you know, or the wind to push it down, but then bringing it back, creating a vacuum that far away, and bringing it back. To me, is strange, you know. And then on top of, like, yes, I understand some of it will be pushed. I can even feel it. But the thing is this, right? There is a field. They're saying there's a field. It's like if you understand that there's a field, and the shit that you push in, even though it is wind, it's still a field. And if you can create some sort of, you know, energy is invisible, so if you can feel the energy in your hand and you can make it heavier, use that. Like, what if you could take like particles and make it more like brick form a little bit, you know, just by your thoughts. But because you have not been programmed to think for yourself, or even think outside the box, even think something like this. Everything to you is like ignorance is bliss. You know, you get to laugh at everything. That's how, like, at least social media, like, everything's a joke, because.
Our experts are clueless when it comes to the most important thing about our health, and that is what we eat coming out. And how long does it take to come out? And if it takes too long, we ultimately have a serpent that's inside of us that's screwing with us in a way you don't understand until you stop doing it. When you eat the food we were designed to eat, you eat it and the next day it's out of you. There's no question how many bowel movements you have because it's going in, it's coming out. When people have a bowel movement today, they have no idea if it's what went in yesterday, but that's what everyone thinks. But no, what's coming out of you on Monday didn't go in on you on Sunday, although some of it could have. Chances are it's stuff that went in back on Friday and maybe some Thursday and on and on. Everything that goes through our food tube has its own little bowel transit time, and if it's really, really bad, it can end up being like a little ball of grease inside of our intestines. Now this took me a long time to visualize. In fact, in the beginning I used to use normal walker's analogy of how this would build up in our colon. And I know that's not true anymore because I've analyzed everything that's coming out of me for a long time. And if you want to understand what a healthy bowel movement looks like, do what I've done. Go on a long juice fast, clean everything out, go till you stop pooping. Eat nothing but fruit and watch what comes out of you. Pay attention to how long it takes to come out of you. Take a look at it, you'll notice it doesn't even stink. You stink because the shit you're eating is coming, because you're eating shit and it's coming out horrible shit. And that's the only way to really figure this out.
What do you think about that? You fast before, right? Yeah. So, what does fasting do for you?
It gives me a heightened state of awareness because I'm not searching for something. All of a sudden, your search for food or whatever gets slowed down or non-existent because you're and you feel more of your energy. You're stronger in a certain sense because you're using your own spiritual energy versus the food energy. You're giving yourself a sense a way to recharge yourself because you're not just adding external energy, you're using the source of energy that's coming through you anyways. Yeah,
it's like you're sustaining your energy.
Yeah.
To where it just, you have unlimited, you don't have to feed it anymore. You start realizing that it will actually repair itself.
Yeah.
By itself. Yeah. Without eating any food. It's just, that's a want. It's not a necessity. It reminds you that you're eating, there's a lot of wants out there, but they're not a necessity, and then I have that discipline of not needing it. And if it is painful, it's because anything's painful that you're used to and they get taken away from you, like a girlfriend or a toy or anything that you think you possess but you don't really own because you don't own nothing on this planet. So, like, anything can be taken back or was made by somebody else. So do you really own it? You know what I'm saying? Like, ownership is what you created yourself. That's what ownership is. If you give it away, it's not yours.
Right.
So when you give away your music to me or you give it away to the world, it's not really yours anymore.
Right.
You're writing for the world. You're allowing source to write through you to the world. You're being a vessel.
Yeah.
So like that's how I kind of feel about it too. I've fast as well, and I have like, it's almost like I want like shrooms or something. This is going to expand like the water situation where this can you believe that that's only bottled water? I knew there was going to be a day when I was younger that they were going to start selling us water. There was a time they didn't sell us water. Pay $1 or something for it. It used to be free water. Yeah, exactly. So it's like nothing's free anymore. Right. They would sell you air if they could. And there are oxygen bars. Oxygen bars do exist. Right. So.
Why shouldn't they drink Kangen water? You need the electrons in your body. You can drink alkaline water, and the water stays alkaline, but because it passes through your body doesn't mean that your body is going to become alkaline. Only the electrons have the power to make your body alkaline. That's why fruits and vegetables and things of that nature that have an abundance of electrons in them are called antioxidants or anti-oxidizing fruits and vegetables and food. It's because the presence of electron is there. But electrons leave. Once they leave their source, all the electrons are stripped from whatever it is, whether it's the water that you drink or the fruits that you eat and you make a smoothie or whatnot, all of them are gone within 48 hours once they are exposed to oxygen or once they leave its source. So you need a machine, because you cannot buy Kangen water in bottles. You can't buy it at stores or whatnot. It takes anywhere up to from 3 to 6 months for bottles of Evian or Fiji and whatnot to hit the shelves. 48 hours for all the electrons to be gone from water, and it takes 3 to 6 months for your bottled water to reach the shelf. And you do the math. You need the electrons. The electrons are the key to reversing your age, to maintaining health in every sense of the word. And nothing, no illness, no disease can survive in an alkaline environment. But you're not going to get it with...
How important is sleep? Oh, well, sleep, well, we need to stop really looking at the concept as sleep, because we get a misunderstanding of what the whole process is. So it's really all about fasting. So yes, fasting is important, because every time we go to sleep, every time we close our eyes, every time we shut the digestive system down, the body automatically goes into repair. So the more waste, the more toxins that are in the body, then the body needs more time to sleep. The less waste in the body, the less toxins you have to process, less time you need to sleep. So, if you want to live a longer life, or at least have more time to live, then keep your body clean, and you won't have to go 8 hours into the body shop at night.
See the dull radiation from the body of this man eating junk food. All of these foods are lifeless in vibration. They are dead and quite inert, unable to reproduce life. These do not feed the energy field. The vibrations are low in frequency and small in amplitude, providing only calories and chemicals. Without life-giving electromagnetic energies, the man's energies remain dull and small. Notice the layers of vibrating radiation extending from the man's body and the fruit as he touches and eats these living seeds. In contrast, see the static vibrations from the chair and table. Even before eating, these foods nourish the electromagnetic fields and enliven his field. Fruits, vegetables, grains, and seeds are vibrant living substances which enhance the human field and are therefore called health foods.
Imagine if Superman hated his powers. I hear too much. I notice everything. I can't shut my mind off. You would laugh. You would say, figure it out. You're Superman. But that's how you sound, parading your diagnosis like a burden. ADHD, anxiety, whatever they call it. It's a gift that you haven't learned how to wield yet. You want sympathy for having sharper senses, faster thoughts, and deeper feelings. But heroes don't beg to be understood. They master what makes them different. The word disorder literally means out of order. And they labeled your gift that way so you would never put it in alignment. Calling it a disorder so you could never get it in order. And they do that because they cannot monetize mastery. So they keep you in management. Because a soul convinced that is broken will never reach for its original design.
Wherever there is motion in the universe, there is increased flow in the field that humans interact with. See the explosive activity from the waves and from his body. Also, the electromagnetic field of the body is negatively charged or ionized, as are waves or tumbling water, which further expands and heightens his field, giving a physical exuberance and emotional excitement. No wonder that a day at the beach is so exhilarating and vitalizing. We all love a babbling brook and the freshness of outdoor vegetation and mountains. Most of us believe that it is relaxation and beauty which refreshes us. From our research, we have discovered that living plants and rarefied atmosphere provide a richer field of negative ions, which heightens and replenishes our own energy field. Notice that the man's field becomes light in color and high in frequency. It sparkles and radiates some distance from his body. This vignette of child and man is a candid happening unstaged. Notice that the movement of the child's and the man's head also creates emotion in their energy field. Exercise, walking, and physical work create an energy field dynamic in the body, which is vitalizing, giving feelings.
You are as a person,
and your brain's divided in half, and this idea pops in here into your conscious mind. Now, if you have a strong enough plan or commitment, total commitment, and no matter what it takes is going to happen, if you have enough KI, enough strong enough internal feeling attached to a plan, then that internal feeling will cause it to drop into your unconscious mind, and then you'll manifest it. That's the way the mind works. Read Think and Grow Rich. Read As a Man Thinketh. Read any book that will teach you the principles that create wealth. And that's what it'll teach you. That's the fundamental of it all. So the key here is to create a strong enough internal feeling that it drops into your unconscious. One way to do that is create a plan, right? Another one is to create the kind of commitment that it doesn't matter, whatever it takes to find a way. But see, that has to be a consistent emotion.
This meditative state, achieved through TM, transcending, is a fourth state of human consciousness, identified by modern physiological science. It's called the hypometabolic physiological state. It's not waking, not dreaming, not sleeping. It's a fourth state of consciousness, as you can see from this picture. On the right-hand side is the very same person. 3 months later, they've learned to meditate. And you see in this deeply settled state of mind, the whole brain is functioning in this incredibly coherent way. You don't see that in waking, dreaming, sleeping, hypnosis, in any other state but this meditative state. Human mind is structured in parallel with the structure of physical reality, which means there's surface levels of mind, active, thinking, choppy, chaotic mind. But deep within, there are quieter and quieter levels of mind, more silent, more powerful levels of the thinking process. And from this perspective, meditation, properly understood and properly practiced, is a technique to take our outwardly directed attention through the senses powerfully within to experience and explore deeper levels of mind, quieter and quieter and quieter levels of the thinking process, as this chart shows. And this inward flow of the mind culminates in the experience of complete silence.
Every single one of us is a field that is both the observer, the observed, and the actor. Every one of us is a field, and it doesn't exist in, this field does not exist in space and time. Space-time exists within these fields that we are, is us. So, this changes the paradigm, right? But we need a change of paradigm, because otherwise, if we are machines, like scientism is telling us, we are going to be taken over by the machines, the artificial intelligence that people will control, powerful people will control, and through those machines they can control us if we don't change our mind of who we are.
It will become a sort of self-fulfilling prophecy.
Will become a self-fulfilling prophecy because we have not done the personal work to understand who we are. And we are not machines.
And one of the world's finest exponents who's worked for people at NASA is sitting right over here, Joe McGonigal. Is it really possible to see through someone else's eyes or sense through their senses?
Actually, we're not sure exactly how it works, but it is possible to report on the position or place that they're located.
And how accurate is it?
Usually when I'm on the target, I'm around 85% correct on the information I provide.
A few days ago, we set up an extremely detailed and complex experiment to test Joe's remote viewing capabilities. It was designed by scientists to ensure that he didn't have any inkling of it beforehand. Only one person in Britain knew the details, and to be extra safe, that person was sent miles away before the test began. 4 sealed envelopes. 4. Which one will he choose? Number 4. The die says number 4. The envelope contains the secret location for his part in this remote viewing experiment.
At this point, it's quite likely that he's stopped looking. That's what we asked him at this moment, so yeah, we'll go with that then.
Go with number 4.
The incredible thing is that he could have described anything in London, but it was water and a bridge, just as Shaw could see it. Joe, you go and remote view something that somebody's seeing miles away, but I'm told that you can actually remote view something before they've decided where the location is.
Actually, you can. It doesn't matter. Time is immaterial.
What's going on here? You know, are you reading my mind? And then Haley typed, yes, I can see the numerators and denominators in your mind, in your head. We're surrounded by information. And how is information encoded? Information is encoded in sound and light. The information is contained within the waves, but those waves are at frequencies that most of us aren't tuning into. A lot of autistic children have perfect pitch, and they complain of being that they're very light sensitive and sound sensitive, or they're children who can hear a conversation that's happening down the block. And then another perceptual difference is that they perceive time differently. Let's say you have a light bulb and it's putting out light, and once it reaches a certain threshold, a certain frequency, you just experience that light as continuous, but it's actually pulsing. So for them, they experience it as continuous at a different frequency.
No strings attached, eh?
You are about to see pages from one of the strangest patents in the entire U.S. Patent Office. This is U.S. Patent number 2006-001-4125A1, or the Walking Through Walls Training System. According to the abstract on the patent that you can all go and read yourselves, this invention is a training system which enables a human being to acquire sufficient hyperspace energy in order to pull the body out of the third dimension, so that a person can walk through solid objects such as walls or wooden doors. This patent is very real and was taken incredibly seriously by members of the U.S. military, especially by the U.S. Army's 1st Earth Battalion, a real unit in the Army that based their principles upon the Jedi Order from Star Wars. What do you guys think about this? Damn it.
Everything vibrates at a frequency, and if you know that frequency, you can control things. This is the model, and this is diagramming all the frequencies of the elements and what their vibrational frequencies are and the numbers that measure those frequencies. And they're all the numbers we get from looking at these ancient traditions that recur over and over and over again.
And so through this technology, they're able to move stones or cut stones or all the above?
All the above.
We call these transducers, which is just a fancy word for speakers. These speakers, they only work at one frequency, and this frequency is 40 kilohertz, which we shouldn't be able to hear. Only bats, dogs, and other animals should be able to hear 40 kilohertz. But because the ultrasound is so powerful, if we put some particles, they should be kept in midair with the power of sound. And all these things that they are just being like kept there with air, actually it's not air, it's the ultrasound pushing them from all directions.
Scientists already knew that sound.
So the programs that you get for the first 7 years are not yours. They came from other people, and they pass that on to you. But the problem is, it's not just the previous generation, the generation before, the generation before, so we pass down through the family. Here's the problem, big time. Science has found that 95% of our life we're thinking. When the conscious mind is thinking, it's not paying attention. When the conscious mind is not paying attention, the subconscious program is the default. Well, if you understand that, then it says only 5% of the time you're running your life with your creative mind. The wishes and the desires and what you want. 5%. 95% of your life is coming from the program. Yeah, but the program is not your wishes and desires. It's other people's behavior. 95% of the day you are playing programs that psychologists tell us are limiting, disempowering, self-sabotaging. All of us, every one of us, every day, plays programs that we don't see, and they're not ours. All we see is the result. And we go, oh my goodness, this is not what I wanted. Yeah, but this is what you create.
Because then you're an entrepreneur. Then you don't work for them anymore. You know, that whole thing is about controlling, you know, without having to put their hand in actually touching you. They can do it throughout means of how they set up the government, the police, the housing, the wherever they have set up. So it's you can't beat them. Like you were saying, giving energy to, like the last video, giving energy to try to fight to beat the system, you're tripping.
No, you gotta create. You gotta create. You know,
you gotta set up.
You're already part of their disciples. They've already planned all the, especially now, they've shown all the results of all your different possible options that you have to choose from. So then you just can't be a part of any of their options. Their options, even your own options, because every moment is a new moment of new options. So, you know, you can have a vision, but that's only 50%. Exactly. You got another 50% that the vision is being grown for you as you're picking apart your first steps. And damn it.
And at first, I suspected the hands of collusion entangling the language to foster illusion. And I think it's quite true that a culture's theology has a great deal to do with a word's etymology, and how it evolves over time to combine incompatible meanings that may undermine the original thoughts it was meant to define. But now, I don't think it's planned, for the thing that I've found is that like concepts can gravitate toward the same sound and vibrate at the rate that our thoughts designate. Because words are electromagnetic vibrations whose fine alphabetic tintinnabulations can take on the tint of our true expectations, which they then imprint on our metal of mind, causing sounds to adhere when they're of the same kind.
When we are so in tune with our emotions, we are also in tune with everybody else. We're in tune with what is happening around us. We can feel people's energy even more. So I embrace the concept of change in my brain as I go about life, because we have been taught so much to keep our emotions in, to not show people your weakness. But this is the reality. The reality is, if my emotions are coming out, even if it seems like it's a lot, perhaps that's all the stuff that I have been trying to hold in anyway. We hold in so much from our emotions, and we don't even take in the fact that we are supposed to let this out. We're supposed to be able to cry openly and be okay with it, no matter how much it looks crazy to other people. But we live in a world that teaches you to hide yourself.
To be intentional. I can't be, it's like AI, it won't be as intentional because it is just a creation from everything else. Where it's like, this is my personal coming from me.
Right. This is code coming from you, your mathematical equation equaling what your perception will be for somebody else.
Exactly.
You know, and you're tailoring this concept in a real spiritual way.
Life is just a game about fixing problems. That's how I had to take it. For me not to lose my mind, all the problems that happen in my life, I had to make it a game. Like, okay, how do I make this fun? How can I just make this fun?
There it is, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
It's a fucking roller coaster. Like, oh man, you know what I mean? And you're just bobbing and weaving. What else could be more fun? Yeah. And to bob and weave through the positive and negatives of life.
Exactly.
Just you know, that's why we have 2 feet. You have one foot is in the indifference. The other foot is just overall playing the character, doing all the different perceptions and dancing around with the positive and negatives and just feeling different things. But you got one that's rooted in just like, well, We're dreaming anyways. It's a fucking video game anyway. So big deal. One person doesn't care. One side doesn't care. The other person cares. Everything's a paradox. You know.
That's exactly like exactly. So it's like.
Everything's right.
Exactly. I was about to say, don't have a strong opinion about anything. Because you're going to be extreme, and that extreme leads you to the wrong idea or the wrong thing. Just like not believing something leads you to the wrong type of thought process as well. So it's like you just got to like
to dance.
Be one. You know what I'm saying? You got
all my thoughts are controlled by my goals that I pursue. Imagine a world where everything was creation. I'm from outer space.
I just think you get to design your entire experience here.
Your vision is evolving, which means it's changing, which means it's not the same as what you already thought of, because if you were doing exactly what you thought of, it wouldn't be any fun. There would be no God. There would be any reason for anything.
There's no reason for nothing.
No. So the unknown is the gold.
Yeah,
Because we can learn shit all day long, you know? And it's like knowing that it's okay not to understand.
Exactly. And that
brings understanding.
Exactly. Like because it sparks curiosity. And then